Before we went on the break, you were talking like with the kind of hierarchy of units and SWAT and canine, and I would understand that because a lot of them, maybe switching back and forth, are high liability for an agency, for the officers and all that kind of stuff. So they're considered high liability. One of those liabilities, have you ever heard of a police canine killing a suspect due to canine?
I think there's one case, I want to say in California, if I'm correct, where a suspect maybe committed a burglary, was hiding in a mechanic shop or in a garage. I remember reading about it, and the dog was deployed. They didn't know where the guy was. The dog was deployed off leash, which is kind of common in a commercial type building.
Yeah.
Located the suspect, bit him in the neck, and I want to say he either died or was real close to it. But that would be the only one that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
There's maybe been some close calls, but for the most part, canines are considered a non-lethal option, right? Not for the most part, they are.
Yeah, and obviously we're going to get into training, but neck would be, you got a lot of stuff there, especially the carotid artery. Mm-hmm. If it nips one of those.
And in the case that I'm telling you about, that's basically what it was, a loss of blood situation.
Okay,
right?
so that's where
dog bit him in the right spot or the wrong spot, depends how you want to look at it, right?
What about any limbs that get detached? And I don't want to get too graphic, but all of a sudden walking out with an arm and where'd you get that from?
No.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
No, if trained properly, if the dogs are trained properly, and the handlers are trained properly, even the hardest dog, right, toughest street-worthy dog, should technically just put 4 punctures for the most part.
Yeah.
Tons of pressure.
Yeah.
4 punctures. End of story. One bite, we train them to bite and hold, not bite. No,
see,
a dog that
be
bites, releases, and bites and releases, that's a bad dog. That dog is not street worthy. Take that dog off the street. Not only is it a liability, but there's issues in its training. But we are looking for just a nice, strong bite and hold.
That might
Until we
be
tell
one
you
of
to
those
release.
misconceptions that people are fearful of, that the dog is chewing or really going at it.
Or trying to eat the... No.
Yeah, trying to
It's
eat
just
them.
think of it as a glorified game of tug-of-war. That's all the dog thinks it is it's a toy, and he's trying to hold on to that toy. That's all
So
it
in
is.
the use of force policy, would you consider that equivalent to an incapacitating, like a taser or something?
Yeah,
So-
right along with the taser, deployment of a taser.
Okay, so it's good to know. I mean, well, there are you can't just there has to meet a certain criteria before you deploy your dog.
Correct. Every
Yeah.
agency is different, but for the most part across the country, it has to be a violent person's crime.
Yeah.
Armed robbery, rape, murder.
Yes.
We're not. Most agencies aren't deploying it for someone that stole a pack of gum from the store.
Yeah, so it has to meet a certain threshold before those dogs are
usually misdemeanors
deployed.
and stuff.
Just want to clarify that.
There are some exceptions, but every agency is a little different.
Yep.
So you got to resort back to the policies and procedures of those agencies, which is probably something that when you watch it on the news does not explain what the policy and procedures of the agency.
Yeah, and that is drilled into each and every canine handler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they're tracking. I guess they keep track of you don't want somebody going out there and every single time.
Percentages, bite percentages they call it. Yeah, bite ratio.
Just it's like use of force. If you have someone who's heavy-handed on your agency, they'll start tracking. Like, hey, how come every time you go into a call, there's a use of force? So what's going on here? We need to take a look at this and better figure out how we can train you, to use other methods.
Yeah, use your mouth, rather than using your hands every single time.
So it also conveys and applies to canine as well.
Correct.
All right.